When you think of an old 2010s animated show, what do you think of? Yeah, you have classics like Regular Show, Adventure Time, and SpongeBob, and many other 2010s classics. But there's one specific show that always left a giant impact on me since it aired. That show being the Lego Ninjago series. Just like many other Lego shows, it's been rebooted, had multiple spin-offs, and I'm not sure while writing this, but they may have also had a Macy's Thanksgiving balloon, if that's any importance. Besides the point, the main thing that most Lego animated shows are always made into are video games. On a side point, I just wanted to get this out of the way. I think that Lego games nowadays are just getting super repetitive, and the whole genre of Lego games are just getting milked for money. A big example of this has to be the Lego Incredibles game. Like honestly dude, that's such a random animated movie to be made into Legos. Like it's baffling what they make into Legos nowadays. And what was just the point of making the game anyway? It's just like every other Lego game, which always include having a specific character for a specific task, and always having those one big boss fights where you also use specific characters for a specific task. It's just the same thing over and over again. Now don't get me wrong, Lego games can be fun. For example, the Lego Marvel games are masterpieces, and I may argue even in saying that the Lego Dimensions games wasn't that bad either. But by far, my most hated Lego game of all time is Ninjago. Specifically, Ninjago Battle. Oh boy, where do I even start? This game ruined my whole thoughts about the whole series as a kid. I remember begging my aunt for a video game one day for whatever reason. Why and around this time I didn't really get any of the games from GameStop. I usually got them from either Walmart or just ordered them online. So my aunt happened to stop at Walmart that day, and you already know I was begging for a new game. So eventually, after begging for like 20 to 30 minutes, she eventually took me to the game selection or section to give me a game of my choice. Around the time, the only two game systems I really had owned were handhelds, being the PSP and the DS or 3DS, I really don't remember. So, if you know how Walmart works in their games, they usually have a sliding door where you have to ask the manager or an assistant to unlock, being a privacy thing or something. But looking at the games, I can remember a couple of choices that I had. One of them being Kingdom of Hearts, another Kirby, and the most dreaded one of them all, Ninjago Battles. Now, instead of being a normal kid and picking Kingdom Hearts or even a Kirby game, I went for the Lego Ninjago game, which at the time I did not know was god awful. I think the main reason of me picking this game was really due to the fact of the previous Lego game I owned, which was the Lego Batman game, which I must say was pretty good. But fast forward to my aunt paying for it, and me taking it home and actually playing it. Now, looking at the box art for the game, it looks extremely promising. You see all the four element ninjas, Kai, Zane, Jade, and Cole, all doing their signature moves and holding their weapons. I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a great game with tons of action, 3D graphics, and beating up villains by pressing one button over and over again. And solving puzzles too. But boy was I in for a treat. So fast forward more time into some gameplay. You got some jaw-dropping action, quality 3D animations, by far the coolest special attacks I've ever seen in any game, and that includes Spider-Man for the PS5. The game's animation are more fluid than any fighting game I've ever seen. Combat system better than Pokemon, Persona, and Final Fantasy combined. Like really, look at those graphics. Even the new gen consoles do not add up to it. If I had the choice right now between my family being murdered and tortured and this masterpiece of a game, I'd obviously choose my... Okay, enough jokes. This game is straight up ass cheeks. And it's torture itself to even glaze upon this game. Like really, I don't even know a category which this game falls into, or even if it's a Lego game in general. It really doesn't play like one. Honestly, I don't even think as a kid I spent at least 10 minutes on this game. Like right after the first minute laying my eyes on this game, I probably went straight back to playing Pokemon Diamond. Doing more research on this game, I've learned more information that I didn't even know about. Like there were actual real cheat codes inside the game. But to get the basis of the game, it goes through the normal timeline of the original LEGO Ninjago, with it being a really simple RTS game, which I'm also not a big fan of considering the games nowadays are just a bunch of cash grabbers. But I think that LEGO is trying to produce a different type of game, but I don't really know what they were thinking this style of game would go. I mean, it's such a big downgrade from the Batman series, which was, at the time, released on the same console because both were for the DS. At the end of the day, I really don't think LEGO, when they're releasing their game, should have explored a game genre RTS like this. They could have released it for mobile at the time, but it wasn't really that big. So basically, if none of y'all know, or some of y'all don't know what RTS stands for, it stands for real-time strategy, which if you know how Clash of Clans works, then basically you lay out your troops and they just fight for you. Sometimes you can command them what to do, sometimes you can't. But the main RTS games that are out right now are League of Legends, I do believe, Clash of Clans, which is one of the cash grabbers, or just any mobile game that ends with Empire. But there is one thing that this game does well, I must say, and that is their character sprites. Like, it's actually really not bad, and I'm a giant fan in pixel art, not gonna lie, even though it's very outdated. They still are able to make them look cool, even though the animations aren't like very flashy, being this game was made in 2011 for the DS. But yeah, those are basically my thoughts on this game. It's not bad, but it's not good either. So that's really all I really wanted to talk about. Sorry for this awful upload schedule. Videos are really hard to do considering I have a tons of homework. But yeah, thanks for the support on the last video. I actually got a decent amount of views considering how small my channel is, with 5 subs. But just thank you in general, because I figured out that my for some reason my video was linked to a do you know your meme page. I just figured that out. I'll probably leave a link in the description below to go see it. But yeah, leaving a like would be nice. You don't have to if you want to, and subscribing would help out, even though it only takes 2 seconds. I know I sound like every other YouTuber, but it really does help. But yeah, that's about it. Jaw-dropping action.